Welcome out to the show tonight, guys. This is Studio 321. This is your podcast host, Eddie B, coming at you from the 321. So short-term pain versus long-term gain. That's the show tonight, guys. It's based on this economic stuff we got going on with the tariffs. Now, today I wore my deplorable shirt. Let me show that to you. That's my 2016 deplorable shirt I got for the Trump, during his campaign. And look, he says this is Trump Liberation Day. It's for, tariff. He put the tariffs in place because he feels like the country's been getting ripped off for a long time. But look, what it really comes down to, in all honesty, is how much pain can the American people handle trying to fix a problem, right? Because, this is going to hurt Trump politically. It is. And both sides know that. And here's the truth. So I was thinking about this. I've been thinking about this a lot. Trump just brought this up. All these politicians that have been in place all these years and years and years, why did they never do this before? There's some video out of Obama talking about it before. Said he was going to put Joe Biden in charge of, fixing our economy and the tariffs and all the overspending and all that stuff. And then you never heard anything else about it. Of course, Joe Biden was the president. Never heard a word about it. The overspending, the government bloat, never heard a word. Then Trump's first time in office, you never heard a word. Of course, he was under attack so much at that time. I don't think he could have pulled that off. Anyways, however, so why did nobody ever do this in the past? And here's the truth. Both sides knew that our debt was a major problem. They knew we've been getting ripped off by other countries. And they've also known that we've had major government bloat and overspending in every category. But the reason they didn't tackle it or try to tackle it is because it's bad for you politically. It's bad for your party. So in other words, if the Republicans are in charge and try to take all that on, what happens is what's happening right now. The Democrats cry and scream and people losing their jobs and, oh God, it's going to destroy the economy and all that, right? If the Democrats do it, the Republicans are going to do the same thing. You're taking jobs. You don't know what you're doing. You're going to destroy the economy. So, they use it against each other as a tool, even though both of them know this has to be done. Okay? And the truth is, I give Trump major respect for this, man. He's got some real stones to try to take on this problem. Because, look, politically, it could be a suicide mission, right? Let's say he's, he gets this in motion, which he's working on now. He gets, all the tariffs just went on today. Let's say it fixes everything, right? But it takes a couple years. Well, by a couple years, he'll have lost the midterms. And then they're going to basically what they'll do is they get the power back in the House. The Democrats are going to do everything they can and obstruct every bill that the Republicans try to put through to try to tank our economy so that by the time the presidency comes up again in 28, J.D. Vance won't have a chance to win. You see, so this isn't about the welfare of the American people. It's really not. What this is about is party control. And believe me when I tell you, now this is, look, I'm a conservative voter, but this is on both sides. Either side of our government would destroy the economy and put the people through hell to keep power. I promise you that. That's a fact. And that's the problem with our country right now. It isn't about what's better for the country. To these parties, it's about what's better for survival. And they don't care. They don't care what happens. They don't. All they want to do is make the other party look bad and survive. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. So today I watched Trump's speech on the tariffs. It sounded great. I'm excited by it. I know that it's going to cause short-term pain. But here's the thing, man. And this all comes back to the voters. And people have to, they have to learn, they have to understand that nothing happens overnight. And when I say overnight, you're really talking about 6 months. That's overnight in politics, right? It's going to take a while for this stuff to turn around, to bring the economy back. It's going to roar at some point. But right now, he's trying to right the wrongs of 20 to 30 years. Okay? These countries have all been taking a major advantage of us. Major advantage of us. They showed that today when he was giving his speech. They showed what the tariff difference was between each individual country in the United States. It's terrible. How we've let this go on for so long, I don't understand. Okay? It's very complicated. I'm not an expert on that. And no, very few people are experts on that. So, but here's the thing. I applaud him for taking it on. I do. Because he knows that this can hurt him. And he's still taking it on anyways. Because look, like I just said, in the past, the Democrats would do is they'd say, oh, well, our debt's not too bad. Let's just kick it on to the next administration because the Republicans are probably going to win. And then we'll let them deal with it. And then Republicans would get in there, oh, well, we've only added so much trillion to the debt. We're not at code red yet, so let's kick it on to the next one because the Democrats will probably win it. Then they just keep on kicking this can on down the road. Well, now we're at 37 trillion in debt. It seems like the wall is coming up quick because, there are some people panicking in the government now. And so now it has to be handled, right? But again, like I said, Trump's trying to do it. So the Democrats are holding that against him and using that against him. But the truth is, somebody has to do it, man. They have to. Okay? Because we just cannot continue on this, man. It's like running up a credit card debt so high that pretty soon you were paying the minimum every month on it, thinking, oh, I'm going to pay this credit card off, and then you find out that what you've been paying every month is barely paying the interest on the original card, right? That's where we're at right now. And when you get into that position, you know what happens. It's bad news. And so, he's working on that. So that was the one thing. So I wanted to go into something else for a few minutes as well. I know most people don't pay attention to what's happening in Europe right now, but I wanted to bring this up because I do pay attention to it. And you have to remember something. And this is true. They always say that Europe is about 30 years ahead of the United States in cultural progressiveness, we'll call it, okay? That's a lot of the woke, stupid junk that I don't like, but we'll just say culturally that they're about 20 to 30 years ahead of us. In other words, they do something now, we end up doing it in about 20 years. And a lot of times I think the things that work well, we copy off of them, and the things that don't work well, we tend to kind of shy away from. So we use Europe as kind of a litmus test, right? So I don't know if you're paying attention to it right now, but Europe culturally is absolutely falling apart. It's getting bad over there. You talk to people who used to go to Europe who go there now, they say it's basically it's a different country. They have major cultural problems. This whole thing of the Muslim gangs in the streets. Well, it's real. They're just beating people up, doing crazy stuff. Now look, you got to think about this, right? Why would there be Muslim gangs in the streets? Well, the Muslims that come there, and I'm not saying they're right, but they're also getting shunned and looked at weird by people. And what does that do over time? That makes them hate the people that surround them. So they gang together to get numbers, and then they start doing stupid stuff, right? Now, they are visitors in the UK, but eventually they just get sick of it, and they're like, they got to lash out. Well, that's wrong. I mean, it's wrong. I understand what's happening, though. That's the way they're looking at it, but they're in another country. So, look, there's a real powder keg going on over there. You've got girls getting raped because, look, over in the Middle East, man, their laws are different. They're different. Their cultural laws are different. You got some Sharia law. Some areas don't really enforce Sharia law. But, it's there, you know what I'm saying? And they're bringing that to the UK, and it's causing major problems. And the natives in Europe, they're standing around looking at dude, what's our government doing to us? Why are they bringing all these people in? Because, look, you can say what you want, but Christianity, okay, and the Muslim religions, they're not compatible, man. They're not. the whole globalist thing with, multiculturalism. That sounds great, but it's like having two alpha males in a room. Somebody's going to have to concede, man, or it's going to be war until they do. And that's where Europe's at right now. The Christians are basically, in a certain way, getting pushed into a corner, and they're going to be forced to concede, and I don't think they're going to do it. They're nice, and they're usually kind of lazy about that stuff. But what's going to happen is when they lash out, it's going to get real nasty. Okay? Now, I don't know how that is going to interpret into violence, but I'm saying that there's going to be some major problems over in Europe. And we know what happened last time they had major problems in Europe. That was World War II, right? But I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they can deport these people at this point, but they need to start really considering their cultural differences, man, and quit trying to mash everybody together and make like this multicultural thing, because it's not working. It's causing major problems. A lot of these countries' identities are starting to kind of fade. I see interviews all the time from people that are like, I can't walk down the street anymore. Women especially, major problems, can't walk down the street because these Muslim men are harassing them. And again, it's just somebody's going to have to do something. And I'm afraid that when they do something, it's going to be pretty crazy. So we'll see. I'll keep an eye on that. I'll keep you updated. I'm probably going to do a full podcast on that coming up. What I just laid out for you was a little vague, but I've got a lot of facts and stuff that I'm going to bring. It's just probably going to be one of the upcoming podcasts, so make sure you look out for that one. But anyways, guys, if you like my video, please like and subscribe. Remember, if you subscribe to the channel, it really helps me, spread the algorithm. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. It'll just send you videos every time that I make a new one. I'm on Rumble also. So check that out if you're ever on Rumble. Find me on there and subscribe on that as well. The best way to get things out, guys, is to spread the word. You know what I mean? Like-minded thinkers, we think alike. We got to get it out there. But anyways, guys, appreciate you checking out my show tonight. This is Eddie from Studio 321. Have a good night. Thanks.